Shalom, dear viewers. This week's parasha is Parashat Vayigash. It vividly portrays that deeply emotional encounter when Joseph finally reveals his true identity to his brothers, proclaiming to them the renowned phrase, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" Our sages, they perceived in these words an admonition to the brothers. So much so that in a midrash, Abba Cohen Bardella said, "Woe to us on the day of judgment, woe to us on the day of admonition." Also Joseph, being the youngest of the brothers, his brothers could not possibly withstand his admonition. From this we learn that Hashem will judge each of us on the day of judgment based on who we truly are. Thus, Joseph's words were seen as an admonition. All ponder, as when he reveals his identity, he says, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But where is the admonition in these words? Later commentators explain it this way: that Joseph is telling his brothers, "You are so worried about our father that if the bond between him and Benjamin is broken, Hashem forbid, then Benjamin must return to his father's house immediately, because their souls are deeply intertwined. Where was your concern then 22 years ago when you sold me into Egypt? So, wasn't our father important to you then? Wasn't he living among you? And so he comes and says, 'I am Joseph, and is my father still alive among you?' You who constantly speak of your concern for our father's well-being, so the connection between him and Benjamin will not be severed. And what about the connection I had with father? Such a crucial and strong bond, so deeply intertwined. Why no concern for our father then?" That was the admonition. From here, many masters of ethics have dealt with the matter of admonition. And the mashgiach of the Mir Yeshiva, Rabbi Yeruham Leibovitz, was once posed a question by one of his students, who inquired, "Rabbi, what exactly is the difference? Why do people typically enjoy listening to rabbinic lectures when they're filled with stories, parables, and sometimes in our generation, even jokes?" People enjoy to listen enjoyable stories, but when a rabbi offers admonition, they avoid listening. What's the difference? And more than that, he asks, "Look, Rabbi, if I see a man standing next to me, and on the back of his shirt there's a significant stain, and I say to him, 'Excuse me, but you have a stain on your shirt,' he'd say, 'Oh, thank you. I plan to wear this to a wedding. I'd be utterly mortified if the shirt is so dirty. You saved me. Thanks.' On the other hand, if I were to approach that very same person and tell him, 'Listen, the things you're saying are simply not polite. The actions you are taking are not moral or ethical.' But if you try to give him some moral guidance, he'll immediately get angry, take offense, and retort, 'Who are you to preach to me? What are you? Who are you to lecture me on morality?' Why is that? What's the difference between a stain on a shirt, for which he is grateful, and morality and values, which a person doesn't like to hear about?" Rabbi Yeruham shared a captivating observation, saying, "Upon the initial arrival of immigrants in America, they brought diverse animals from their native lands. The local inhabitants were unfamiliar with certain animal species. So, when they suddenly observed an individual riding a horse, they were utterly bewildered, wondering how it was possible for a person to have a human upper body and head, yet possess the four-legged lower part of an animal. They didn't understand that he was riding on that animal, on the horse. And when they observed the rider suddenly dismount his horse, they realized that these were in fact two distinct entities, a man astride a horse. So Rabbi Yeruham responded, each individual is composed of two parts. Every person possesses a physical aspect, symbolized by his horse, and a spiritual essence, his soul, representing the individual who rides the horse. In a similar way, the Ben Ish Hai recounted a tale about a crippled beggar who, being unable to walk independently, extended his hand for charity, standing close by. A man on horseback who asked him, "What do you need?" So he says, "I'm hungry. If you could give some bread and water, I would be truly grateful for it." He then pulled out bread and water from his travel bag and offered it to the crippled beggar. Then the beggar asks, "Are you going to the big city?" He replies, "Yes. Can I join you?" "Of course." The rider was a kind-hearted man. He then positioned the crippled man in front of him, handed him the horse's reins, and sat just behind him to offer protection and ensure he wouldn't tumble from the horse. When they arrived at their destination, the big city, the crippled man, this beggar, turns to the horse rider and says, "Yes, we have arrived at our destination." "You can get off," he says. "What? You can get off." "You heard me." He tells the horse's owner, "Get down." "Me? Get off?" The crippled man exclaims, "The horse is mine." He argues, "What do you mean? It's my horse. These are my new legs. I'm crippled. Get off." And people on the street witnessed the quarrel. They immediately felt compassion for the crippled man and started yelling at the horse's owner. "Aren't you ashamed? Get off. Those are his legs. Why kick him off?" He saw he wasn't getting out of this and asked to be judged by the Ben Ish Hai. When they stood before the Ben Ish Hai, he, a wise man, asked the crippled man, "Where did you buy the horse? How much did you pay for it? Where did you get the money?" He soon found the crippled man a swindler, trying to steal the horse. And then the Ben Ish Hai reprimanded him, "Where is your sense of gratitude? He offered you bread, he offered you water, and then you attempt to steal his horse?" And with that, he expelled him, dismissing him from his Bet Midrash in utter disgrace, as was entirely justified. Furthermore, Rabbi Yeruham, in alignment with this principle, once stated, "A portion of our being, our physical body, functions as a horse, while our soul represents the rider." The Ben Ish Hai elaborated further, just before bidding farewell to the horse's owner, "Be aware, should you ever again allow a hitchhiker on your horse, do not give him the reins to hold." And this, in essence, is the parable, the horse within a person, symbolizing the body, which constantly pulls us, sometimes even degrading us towards our base physical needs. Never give the reins to the body. Instead, allow the soul to be the driving force. We must provide the body with its necessities, food, shelter, water, and all it needs to survive, but we must never give it the reins of control. So, Rabbi Yeruham explained this to his students. Indeed, students who listened to my lectures at the yeshiva truly understood that these lessons, these admonitions about morality, are intended for that horse within them, their physical, earthly part, to prevent them from being led astray, to keep them from giving up control and letting it take the reins. Some individuals struggle to grasp this distinction and take offense. We strive to clarify that an admonition is intended to instruct them against relinquishing control by handing the reins over to the horse. So make sure that your soul stays in command of you and that the horse within you does not take over. Shabbat Shalom.